Hi everyone, it's Megan here from Valley View Living. If you're new to my channel, I live in the country in New South Wales, Australia on a multi-gen 10-acre property. We are beginner homesteaders raising meat, growing vegetables, have a milking cow and all those good things. And here on my channel I share a lot about homemaking and basically family living in general. So today I wanted to take you through a few things that I do at home to try to economize and maximize our budget so that we can use the money that we do have in the way that we think is to the most benefit of our family. Now, our biggest expense by far is food. We have minimal debt at the moment, but our grocery bill is an ongoing very large expense. So there are other ways that we try to cut costs so that we can afford to buy the food that we want to. So let's get straight into what I do to save money in our home so that our family can thrive as best we can. The first thing that I do is I try to use the food that we buy wisely. So, for example, I regularly buy organic chicken drumsticks, which are a very good price and good value for money from the supermarket. Now, I will make sure that I am also turning those into a second meal base of highly nutritious chicken broth. So easy, scavenge the bones off your family's plates. I pop them into a stock pot, cover them with some good quality water, and I will just let that simmer for a minimum 3 hours and store the stock in the fridge, and that really gives me a head start on future meals, and I haven't had to purchase any expensive boutique chicken broth. Now, the second thing that I do when I'm shopping for my family is I really try to look at the cost of the product that I'm considering purchasing, is to really look at the nutritional value of the food I'm considering purchasing and the cost per kilo for that food, as in how many nutrients is this going to bring to my family and myself when compared with a different food's cost per kilo. So, for example, if I'm considering buying something like a bag of frozen organic berries, it might seem expensive in the price per kilo, but then if I'm going to compare it to something like a bag of potato chips or a box of cereal or something like that, the nutrient density in the berries may well work out to be much better value than a more processed food that can be equally as expensive. Now, the next thing that I am trying harder to do for my family is to conserve electricity. I'm sure all Australians are feeling the bite, or many Australians are feeling the bite of our raised power bills right now. So I am one that has been using the dryer, especially during wet or cold days, to keep up on laundry with my family. I am responsible for laundry for 6 children, 6 dependents, and that is a lot of clothing. However, I am starting to find the simple joy in the slower lifestyle of hanging out our clothes. It seems so obvious, but it also seemed like a time saver to me to just toss a load of laundry into the dryer, come back and get it later. But then, why was I rushing around to go and do whatever I was off to do next? I don't know. Maybe I am trying to cram too much productivity into my days, and I have found it really enjoyable to slow down and be mindful in this process of just caring for my family's clothes. So, and in saying that, my older kids do contribute and manage their own clothes. I'll just get that in there real quick. But I still have 4 children under the age of 8, and I have to manage their laundry for them with minimal input. So on these cold winter days, I am training myself to hang out the laundry inside on drying racks in front of the fire. It's a nice excuse also to get the fire going, which helps to heat the house and of course cut down further on heating costs. We do have an air conditioner that we can use to heat the main area of the house, but if we get the fire going, it really helps to warm the house as a whole, including the bedrooms, and it just stops the inner temperature from getting very low. So yeah, while I'm hanging out laundry, I'm really finding if I can stay mindful and pay attention slowly to what I'm actually doing, I can combine hanging laundry with a little bit of meditative peace. And yes, I'm absolutely serious. The next thing that we do as a family is to purchase primarily secondhand. So for many, many years, the vast majority of our appliances, our furniture, our cars have always been secondhand. Clothes, of course, if you are able to shop on eBay, those kinds of things. We've always saved so much money purchasing secondhand. Now, it's also a pleasure to search for, especially furniture, secondhand. You can find some amazing quality, real wood pieces on Marketplace and on Gumtree for, cheaper than the kind of IKEA chipboard stuff that, my hand's in the air here. I have purchased IKEA too, and I have found it so useful in its way. But I'm really starting to see that IKEA furniture itself, like so many appliances, is really guilty of planned obsolescence. It doesn't stand the test of time. The real wood furniture that I've invested in, and there is so much available to purchase secondhand, has held up so well. I've never had a problem with purchasing electrical appliances secondhand either, so that's always my first port of call, online secondhand sales. Something else that I have been passionate about over the years, ever since I became a stay-at-home parent, was to learn as many skills as possible to do it myself. So now this has extended to us learning how to milk cows and keep chickens and process animals and all that kind of thing. But back in the city, when I first started, it was really just learning how to make mayonnaise for myself, or mix up a salad dressing, or make my own granola at home from scratch, bake some bread. All of those skills that really are valuable, even if we're not a culture that seems to value it anymore. There are certain products that are so expensive to buy, not because they are expensive to produce, but because they take a long time to produce. So ferments, sourdough, sauerkraut, all that kind of thing. It just costs a fraction of the price if you learn to do it yourself. And personally, I found just learning one thing at a time and knocking one thing off my goal list at a time really helps to avoid burnout. Now, the next thing that I know feels kind of almost trite to say, because we repeat it so often, is to grow some food in a garden and maybe keep a handful of chickens as well. But I really find that for me personally, living in suburbia, I have always had chooks, and even on 600 square meter block, just having a handful of chooks in the backyard and that security of your own eggs was always so satisfying to me. I highly recommend anybody who has even just a backyard, and I know they are becoming even harder to come by with the way that cities are approving homes now, but it's a very worthwhile backyard experience. And the thing about growing food is you don't have to overthink it. My first experience with growing food was actually just throwing a pumpkin into a compost heap at the first home that we bought in the city many years ago. And it sprouted. And before I knew it, my backyard was just covered in pumpkin vines. And we could just harvest pumpkin that year with no effort whatsoever. And that was highly rewarding. So don't set the goalposts high. Maybe just try to grow one thing in a bucket or a container, and every little bit helps, and it just encourages you as a person in your own skills. The next thing that is a near constant expense in our family of 8 humans, 6 of them growing rapidly, is clothing. I am trying to buy 100% cotton clothing for my children. I cannot afford organic fabrics or Australian made at this point, but I do try to go with 100% cotton wherever I can. So at the moment, for example, Target is selling 100% cotton jumpers for kids and for adults as well at a fraction of the cost that they are listed in the start of the winter season. And of course it will be similar in summer as well. Just wait a month into summer and you will find the clothing is just reduced drastically, and you can buy the next size up, or you can just outfit your kids in a capsule wardrobe for now, and you can save so much money doing that. I have also found that for me, finding my quote unquote uniform, so finding clothes that I'm comfortable in, that I can get my daily tasks done in and feel content wearing, has been really helpful for me. A couple of pairs of jeans that I love and I'm happy in, some good quality shoes that don't hurt my feet and I can wear all day, and just a comfortable selection of cotton t-shirts has really formed my daily uniform, and it cuts down on having tons of different fabrics to care for. It cuts down on shopping for fun because I'm just happy with my day-to-day clothing, and it cuts down on space and care because I just have the simplest of wardrobes. And I have found that really helpful. The next thing that we have found really helpful as a family, both in the city and in the country, is being open to building community. So being very open to meeting neighbors and joining Facebook groups for people who like to grow food and get up together and swap food swaps, buying from local producers, all that kind of thing. There are so many people who want to have a strong community network where we can exchange food, or we can support each other in the growing journey, that kind of thing. And this kind of community is absolutely vital to our futures as we go into increased food hardships. So we can all see there are so many increases in the price of food. Some of it is corporate greed, yes, but a lot of it also is climate change, and it's affecting crops being able to be harvested at the way that we are used to, being able to just buy it year round whenever we like. And these challenges are just going to increase. So community resilience is really important. And it is one way that we tackle the societal pressure to just be a consumer. The next thing that I make sure that I do is to repurpose our food scraps. Because we cook a lot from scratch and we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and because I feed a lot of children who may not be cleaning their plates, I want to make sure that those food scraps get a good home where they actually nourish something or someone else. So whether that is being buried into the garden for comp, which then grows the soil for the food that I want to grow later, or whether that goes straight to my chickens or my dog or my cat or to my backyard pigs, it's all going somewhere. So another way that I save my family money is by cooking from scratch as much as possible. that is our meals and our snacks and things like mayonnaise and granola and anything that I can make at home, I will. And I find that saves so much money when I have to buy a convenience food or something that's already made or produced for our family. The cost is just so much higher than when I make it myself. And I find the time invested just very worthwhile. Just a couple more things that have been the norm for us over the years is to be a one car family. And also we use our car as little as possible. So when living in the city, that meant choosing the closest shopping center. When I was doing the shopping, it meant just making our life just a little bit smaller so we didn't have to travel far for social events or for gatherings or for shopping or whatever, all that kind of thing. We tried to keep it all as close as possible. And when traveling further afield, we would use public transport regularly. We lived in an area with a strong train and bus network for quite a while. When living rurally, that is more of a challenge, but I often choose to get things delivered. I don't know if that is better environmentally, but I do know that it cuts down on fuel use for us. We also choose to center our lives around our nearest village, which is not far away at all. Now, my next tip, which is so vital in my opinion, is to surround yourself with like-minded people, people who are trying to spend less, people who are valuing a different style of life, people who are not going to give you any kind of peer pressure to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. If the Joneses have just got, a new great looking goat and planted a few new lemon trees, well, that pressure can be there too as well. But it is a great way to make sure that your perspective is matching the journey that you want to be on, is to have friends and associates who see things very similarly to you. You can encourage each other in the path. And my last tip for this video is a very countercultural, a radical notion for many Australians, but it's the idea of considering pooling resources. Whether it's with family members, extended family members, friends who you are as close to as family, the idea that we can combine our shared resources, and share them into something bigger. So there is no way that we would be homesteading on a large block if we had not been mutually open with extended family to pooling our resources and purchasing this property together. And that has been something that has been such a leg up for us and such a great way out of an extremely competitive housing market that just seems designed to make it as hard as possible for young Australian families to own their own homes. And the social norm of having families live separately and consuming resources separately in separate homes or separate properties is not necessarily one that benefits the individual as much as it certainly benefits the corporations who want to sell us as much as those resources as possible. So these are some of the ways in which we save money as a family so that we can divert the money that we have into the things that mean the most to us. Thanks for keeping me company today. And if you've enjoyed this content, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe. And that way I will see you next time. Bye.